The morning light across Downing Street carries a certain purpose today. The usually brisk and formal environment outside number 10 feels different, less political, more human, more grounded in the lives of ordinary young people who have come here not as visitors, but as voices that Britain's leadership wants to hear. As the black door swings open, the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer steps out, accompanied by a group of young apprentices, each of them representing schools and vocational centres from different parts of the country. Their faces show a mix of excitement, nervousness and pride. It is not every day, after all, that someone in training for a trade or career pathway finds themselves walking out of Downing Street alongside the country's head of government. Starmer moves among them informally, exchanging warm greetings, handshakes, short jokes, and the kind of quiet encouragement that feels genuine rather than rehearsed. The cameras capture this moment as he leads the group forward, inviting them to gather closer. In this setting, historic, politically loaded, globally recognised, he tells them why they have been invited. His voice is steady and deliberate as he explains that he wanted them there because he wants to champion apprenticeships, because he believes the country is not doing enough, and because building a stronger future cannot happen without investing in the skills of young people. There is conviction in his tone, and the apprentices listen with the attentiveness of those who know that someone in power is, at this moment, speaking directly about their lives. The conversation progresses, moving beyond general statements into specifics. Starmer speaks about his responsibility as Prime Minister to secure major national contracts, big projects, long-term economic engines that can generate apprenticeships for years to come. As he speaks, the apprentices around him nod, some with eager agreement and others with the quiet seriousness of those who understand the weight of opportunity. The Prime Minister is not simply celebrating them, he is acknowledging that Britain's future industries, construction, engineering, energy, digital technology, transport, depend on people like them. Then he shifts the conversation toward a challenge, one he wants the apprentices themselves to help solve. He asks them how the country can inspire more children, more teenagers, to consider apprenticeships. It is an unusual moment, a Prime Minister asking for guidance from those who are usually the ones receiving it. For a brief beat, the air carries that silent recognition. This is not a lecture, it is an invitation. One of the apprentices steps forward to respond. She speaks about her experience, describing how she discovered her apprenticeship, why she chose it, and how it transformed the way she sees her own future. Her words are heartfelt, humble, and honest, the kind of testimony that does more than statistics ever could. Around her, other apprentices listen closely, nodding in agreement because her story resonates with theirs. This is the kind of conversation that policymakers often miss, the lived reality of training, learning on the job, facing challenges and discovering a sense of direction. Starmer listens intently, occasionally leaning forward, offering a few encouraging remarks as she speaks. The tone remains conversational, not formal, and this is part of the significance of the moment. These apprentices are being treated not as subjects of policy, but as contributors to it. Their presence here is more than symbolic. As more apprentices join the conversation, the topics expand. Funding, stigma around vocational training, public perception of apprenticeships, the pressures faced in school environments that often push students toward university as the only reputable path. They speak about the need for earlier exposure to practical training, for better communication from teachers, for parents to see apprenticeships not as a fallback option, but as a respected, promising pathway. The Prime Minister frequently returns to the theme of pride, pride in skills, pride in practical expertise, pride in building the future. He reminds them that apprenticeship routes are essential to the nation's economic strength and that the country must not undervalue those who choose to build careers through hands-on training. This theme echoes through the group because many of them have experienced scepticism or pressure from others who question their choice. Throughout the conversation, the visuals show the apprentices standing in a half circle around him. Some hold notebooks, others clasp their hands nervously. A few smile with a mix of curiosity and confidence. There is a sense of energy in the group, the kind of energy that comes from being seen and heard at a level far beyond their expectations. As the dialogue continues, the camera captures moments, close-ups of earnest young faces, Starmer gesturing with his hands as he stresses the importance of long-term contracts to fuel apprenticeships, medium shots of the apprentices nodding, wide shots showing the breadth of the group and the surrounding architecture of Downing Street. The Prime Minister's approach remains grounded. He speaks not in sweeping ideological terms, but with practical clarity. He explains how infrastructure projects, energy expansions, transport upgrades, and technological investments all require skilled workers, and how government policy must ensure that these opportunities translate into apprentice openings. At one point, Starmer reflects on his own experiences meeting apprentices across the country. He describes walking through workshop floors, visiting training centres, seeing young people mastering trades that keep the nation functioning: electrical work, plumbing, machinery operation, coding, digital systems, health services. The apprentices listening to him seem to understand that they are part of a much larger ecosystem and that their individual stories fit into a national narrative of development, resilience, and innovation. The conversation softens from policy discussion into more personal exchanges. An apprentice shares the excitement of her first completed project. Another talks about the challenge of balancing coursework with real-world responsibilities. A young man explains how the apprenticeship gave him purpose after struggling in traditional academic settings. Each story builds on the next, creating a mosaic of experiences that collectively highlight why apprenticeships matter. Starmer responds with empathy, reinforcing that government must do more to support these pathways. He talks about the need to break old stereotypes, that apprenticeships are not for those who can't manage university, but for those who choose a different, equally valuable route toward mastery and professional growth. He adds that the future workforce must be diverse, dynamic, and skilled in ways that reflect the complexities of a rapidly changing world. The atmosphere takes on a sense of shared mission. Apprenticeship programs are no longer abstract policies. They are represented in the hopeful young people standing here, each with a story, each with aspirations. Starmer's engagement reflects that recognition. The apprentices respond with openness, expressing gratitude, but also raising concerns. How can awareness improve? How can government help schools better present these options? How can apprenticeships be expanded into new sectors? Starmer listens carefully and assures them that the government intends to expand access, strengthen partnerships with industries, and modernise the apprenticeship framework. He acknowledges that challenges remain, but reiterates that the country's future workforce must be built from the ground up, with apprenticeships forming a crucial foundation. As the discussion continues, the apprentices become more confident. Their questions grow sharper. Will the government ensure long-term funding? How will small businesses be encouraged to take on apprentices? Can the public messaging be improved? Starmer addresses each with thoughtful responses, emphasising transparency, partnership, and commitment. He speaks of a Britain that rebuilds its economic strength through skills and innovation, and he makes it clear that apprenticeships are central to that strategy. The camera captures the moment with increasing richness. Close-ups of Starmer listening, wide shots showing the apprentices speaking seriously, medium shots of the Prime Minister exchanging insights with them. The visuals reflect the dynamic of an evolving conversation, equal parts listening, explaining, and planning. The apprentices continue sharing insights. They talk about the pride they feel when contributing to real projects, the satisfaction of practical accomplishment, and the sense of identity that comes from developing a skill. Starmer affirms each message with the quiet certainty of someone who deeply believes in what he is advocating. The meeting gradually shifts from storytelling to motivation. Starmer encourages them to become ambassadors themselves, to mentor others, to share their stories in their communities, to help break outdated assumptions about apprenticeships. He tells them that their voices carry real influence and that their lived experience can inspire thousands of others. As the group continues speaking, the atmosphere of Downing Street seems transformed. It is no longer a symbol of political distance, but a space where future workers, builders, creators, and innovators stand in conversation with the nation's leader. There is a symbolic power in this setting, the Prime Minister speaking plainly, the apprentices responding with sincerity, the cameras documenting a rare moment of authentic connection. By the end, the conversation feels less like a political event and more like a gathering united by a shared goal. The apprentices leave with a sense of empowerment, knowing that their stories matter, that their experiences will shape policy discussions, and that apprenticeships will not be sidelined but celebrated. And the Prime Minister leaves with what he sought from the start, not only to champion apprenticeships, but to hear directly from the young people whose futures will help define Britain's direction. The meeting becomes an example of what leadership looks like when it listens, engages, and values the next generation. In the heart of Downing Street, amid the familiar bricks and cameras and the echo of footsteps on stone, a quiet but powerful message emerges. Britain's future is built not only in Parliament or boardrooms, but in workshops, training centres, classrooms, and the determined hands of young apprentices who are ready to shape the country's path forward.